This video is all about the divisibility rule. And what do you mean by the divisibility rule? Divisibility rule means without dividing, how can I find out whether a particular number can be divided by a number from 1 to 10? And no more this, we shall get into the video itself. Now the first one, the divisibility rule of 1, which is self-explanatory itself. Why? Because every number can be divided by 1. Let it be any number, it can always be divided by 1. So moving on to the next one, the divisibility rule of 2 now. And in this one, it's all about the last digit. If I'm having an even number at the last digit, then yes, that entire number can be divided by 2. For example, let's say 3046. And here the last number is 6, which is an even number. That means this number can be divided by 2. Let's go for one more example, 4398. And here also the last digit is an even number. So yes, this can also be divided by 2. Another one, 4321. And here the last digit is an odd number, which means this number cannot be divided by 2. And that's all about the divisibility rule of 2. Now moving on to the next one, the divisibility rule of 3. And in this one, I just have to add all the digits in my number. And if the sum is actually a multiple of 3, then yes, that entire number can be divided by 3. For example, let's say I need to divide 4375. So here I have to add all the digits. 4 plus 3, that is 7, 7 plus 7, 14, 14 plus 5, 19. And 19 is not a multiple of 3, that means I cannot divide this number. Let's consider one more example. Let's say 4, 3, 2, and 3. So 4323. 4 plus 3, 7, 7 plus 2, 9. 9 plus 3 is 12 and 12 is a multiple of 3. That means this number can be divided by 3. That's all about the divisibility rule of 3. Now moving on to the next one, the divisibility rule of 4. And in this one, I just have to check the last 2 digits of my number. And if the last 2 digit is a multiple of 4, that means that entire number can be divided by 4 itself. We will go for an example. Let's say I need to divide 5, 4, 3 and 6. So 5436. And what is my last 2 digits? That is 36. And yes, 36 is a multiple of 4. That means this entire number can be divided by 4. Next one, 4033. And in this one, the last 2 digits, that is 33. And 33 is not a multiple of 4. That means this number cannot be divided by 4. And that's all about the divisibility rule of 4. Now moving on to the next one, the divisibility rule of 5. And in this one, I just have to check again the last digit only. And if the last digit is 5 or 0, then yes, that entire number can be divided by 5. For example, 3435. And here the last digit is 5. So yes, it can be divided. 4090. Here also the last digit is 0. Then yes, this can be divided. Another one, 2111. Here the last digit is not 5 nor 0. That means this cannot be divided. Now moving on to the next one, the divisibility rule of 6. And on this one, we will be applying 2 basic laws. One, the divisibility rule of 3. Second one, the divisibility rule of 2. And if both of them are satisfying, then yes, that number can be divided by 6. We will go for an example. Let's say I need to divide 3, 4, 5 and 3. So 3453. So here we will add first, we will check for the divisibility rule of 3 first. 3 plus 4, that is 7, 7 plus 5, that is 12, 12 plus 3, that is 15, and yes, 15 is a multiple of 3. Now we have to check for the divisibility rule for 2 as well. And for the divisibility rule of 2, the last number have to be an even number. Here I'm having an odd number, right? That means this cannot be divided by 6. So keep it in mind, both the rules have to be satisfied to divide it with 6. Now we will consider one more example. 2, 3, 5, 2. So here, first apply the divisible rule of 3. 2 plus 3, 5. 5 plus 5, 10. 10 plus 2, 12. And yes, 12 is a multiple of 3. Now, divisible rule of 2. Here the last digit is 2 itself. So yes, it satisfies the divisible rule of 2. That means this number can be divided by 6. Now moving on to the next one. Here we are moving directly into the divisible rule of 8. We are not discussing 7. It doesn't mean that 7 is not having a divisibility rule. It is having a divisibility rule, but it's very complex, and I will suggest that it's better that you divide and find out. That is always better for 7. So that's why we are not discussing about 7. We will move on directly to 8. And in the case of 8 also, it's little bit of complex, but if you're having a very large number, then go for this rule. And if you're having a very small number, I will always suggest try to divide it with 8 itself and find out whether it can be divided or not. We will go for the example, and here the rule says that if the last 3 digit of that number can be divided by 8, then yes, that entire number can be divided. Again, if the last 3 digit of that number can be divided by 8, then that entire number can be divided by 8 itself. We will go for an example. 3, 4, 8, 1, 6. So here the last 3 digits is 816 or 816, and let's see whether we can divide this 816 with 8 or not. 8 divided by 8, that's going to be 1, and 1 I cannot divide, so 0. Then 16, it is 8 times 2. So 102 is what I'm going to get when I divide 816 with 8. That means this number can be divided by 8. So again, this is better if the number is very large, or else always go for normal division itself. Now moving on to the next one. The divisibility rule of 9, and this is very simple because this law is exactly the same as that of the divisibility rule of 3. I have to add all the digits, and if the sum is a multiple of 9, then yes, that number can be divided by 9 itself. We will go for an example. Let's say I need to divide 4, 3, 7 and 4. Okay, so adding the digits, 4 plus 3, 7, 7 plus 7, 14, 14 plus 4, 18, and 18 is a multiple of 9. That means this number can be divided by 9 itself. Now one more example. 3, 5, 2, 9. 3 plus 5, 8, 8 plus 2, 10, 10 plus 9, 19. 19 is not a multiple of 9. That means this number cannot be divided by 9. The next is the divisible rule of 10, which is self-explanatory itself, and I think almost all of us know about it. If I'm having the last digit as 0, then yes, that can be divided by 10. So that's all about the divisibility rule, and if you're having any doubt, please comment it below and tell me what would you like to see on my next video as well. See you next class. Take care. Bye.